Are you currently looking for a bookstore that has a great selection of books? Well, Kizzy's Books and More is that bookstore. Visit www.kizzy'sbooksandmore.com to purchase your next book for our book club. Use coupon code VulgarGenius to receive 10% off the subtotal of your first order. This week on the Vulgar Geniuses podcast, we get to sit down with Cree Myles, the culture creator and influencer who has built a life sharing her love of Black literature. As the official curator of Penguin Random House's Instagram account, Always Black, Cree uses creative and innovative ways to celebrate and highlight Black writers. We talked to Cree about her Bookstagram origin story, the one thing she will never compromise herself on, and what it is like to be a part of the almighty, infamous Libra Collective. Stay with us on another episode of the Vulgar Geniuses podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Vulgar Geniuses podcast. We are your hosts.
My name is Denny.
And I am Veronica.
She can't say
who I am. It's because I am just so overjoyed by our guest today. We have a wonderful, brilliant guest on our show for our Black History Month feature this February. It is such an honor to introduce you all to Cree Myles. Cree Myles is an American influencer, writer, and organizer living in Milwaukee. She is the creator and manager of Always Black on Instagram, and we are so overjoyed to be able to welcome you on our show. How are you doing, Miss Cree?
Good, I'm good. Putting American in front of influencer is so dramatic. That's a dramatic bio. Shout out to Rochelle for sending that over. That's great.
You know, when I first read your bio, I said the same thing. American influence.
Right. American. Like what? Okay.
Like, look at her go.
It's true.
Just for our international listeners who might not know where you're coming from.
Shout out to Sweden.
Yeah.
Sweden.
Exactly.
So we like to do, a few questions to get the conversation joints loosened up before we dive into the real deal Holyfield. So I'm going to pass it off to Denny and she's going to take you through that. Sounds good?
Yes.
So we have a little bit of fun questions. So Cree has brought a lot to the table. But in 50 years, when white people search for Emily Dickinson and your name comes up, what do you hope to be the first link that they would see?
Oh, I've thought about this because I picked the name Black Emily Dickinson as like a troll. And I hope that it's something with a lot of racial slurs. Like, I just hope that they look it up and they think they're about to like read one of her recluse and Emily was writing, like, shout out to Emily. She spit some poetry, but I really just hope it's like one of my word of the weeks or like the cipher when I ended it with, you are vulgar geniuses, so I can swear, right?
Oh yes.
Okay. So it's like if it can be the cipher when I end with nigga, you don't read. I would love if like it's just like this 80-year-old white woman who's like, oh my God. That would be so satisfying. I love that.
Yes, we're speaking it into existence.
I can't wait. I hope I live long enough to see that.
Mm-hmm. Mark this day. Mark this day.
2023.
Yes.
Okay.
When not working, creating, or mommying, what else is Cree Myles busy with?
Yeah. So I ran track in high school, had me in a chokehold, like consumed my identity. And I just kind of let it go because I could have went like D2, but I'm really competitive. And so if I couldn't go D1, I didn't want to go. And so I just like left it behind me. But my oldest started running again and it has me in a chokehold. Like I'm like coaching the 10 and under team. I'm watching track videos in my spare time. I'm reading like coaching manual, like how to be a better. I feel so basic for how much I love this sport. Like I can't even, because you know how like sports people are there, and I'm like, I know I'm well read and I have nuance, but I'm like hundreds. I love them, and I just so that's what I spend a lot of time at track practice. It's an AAU team. They practice 3 days a week, and there's meets every other weekend. That's what I spend a lot of my time doing right now.
Okay, we're gonna find Cree out on the track field right
Coach
there.
Cree.
Do they call you Coach Cree, or do they call you Coach Myles, or
everybody calls me Coach Cree. So yeah, I literally, when I found out I was pregnant, the first thing I said was, will I be able to coach outdoor season? And my husband was like, can you focus for like 2 seconds? So yeah, I love it. I love it so much.
But yeah, that's a valid concern because, pregnancy, you don't know where you're going in this journey. So,
I know.
You can't give up the love that you just rekindled with a new love that's in your body.
Yes.
There needs to be
that
a
baby
balance.
Can embrace it as well. I'm sure they're running track and field in your tummy right now, right?
Constantly working on their form. I like dropping their head, keeping their shoulders down. Go be at practice with me in a little bassinet. That's what I've decided.
There we go.
So speaking of the baby, what do you think would be the first book that you would want to read to the baby?
Ooh. Oh my God. Undefeated? Is that Kwame Alexander? That book, like, I don't know what the recipe is for a masterful children's book, but it's masterful. Like it's it's like I've never read it before, and every time I get to that certain page where it's like, and for the ones who chose the sea or whatever, I always am like, oh my God, like so the buildup is just perfect, and I feel like it's a really healthy like introduction to Black history, because you don't want to like overwhelm a baby with all of the horror that their ancestors experienced. You really want to balance it with like, this was the shitty stuff that was happening, and look what they did. Like I really like that about that book.
Oh, that's a good start right there.
This question is from a friend. I let her ask her this question.
Well, since you had already brought up your track and field, I have been all up in your stories. It is a delight of mine to see you rekindle this love for running, because Olympic season, Denny could tell you, like, I'm there. That's the only time like I really truly feel like I'm an American, like I'm rooting for us. So since you are now a track and field gold medalist, because those who don't know, if you know, you know. But for those who don't know, Cree ran a race, and I was trying to figure out if it was last year or the year before last. Was it last year? Okay, it was last year. So you ran a race. And you did that. You did what needed to be done. And so now you're taking a gap year of your personal racing to train these young ones, and as you prepare for your upcoming birth. But we want to know, will you be competing in the following year races? And if so, will you sport like FloJo inspired nails with images of your favorite riders on them?
Oh my God.
Yes.
You just took it to a whole nother, because let me tell you, like I said, hadn't run in forever, was still, Nat is 3, but was still also like working off like the weight of giving birth. Because like my first baby I had when I was 20, so I had him and then it was boop, and just arrogantly thought that was going to happen again. And it was like, no, bitch, it's 10 years later. Like, you have a different body. So like, I'm like, oh, so I have to like watch what I'm eating. And like, so I was like doing the workouts that the kids were doing, except not with them around, because again, I'm self-conscious and they are like nationally ranked and I'm 32. So I was like, I just like would get up in the morning and do the workout, etc. But when I ran that race last year, I was like, I literally wrote in my journal, I made a vow to myself, I am going to sprint until I need a hip replacement or until my knee snaps, because I love it so much. So actually, my oldest father and I, because he is an All-American, like he tried out for the Olympics and everything. We made a vow that when we turned 35, we're going to enter the Masters, and both train for the 200. And you mentioned FloJo, my track kids. I all gave them nail polish for Christmas in honor of FloJo, and was like, "This is the pageantry and history of track and field. Like, she is one of the best who ever did it. Look her up, blah, blah, blah." And they came back and was like, the videos were grainy. And I was like, it was the 80s. And they were like, what's that? So that was the whole thing. but I would totally, like, with quote, I don't even think I need quotes. I just need, because like my mood board is full of like Alice and Audrey and Tony. I don't even have a runner on there at this point, because I mean, excellent art, be it in the sports arena or the literary arena, is just like elite, excellent art, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
I am totally married to that idea. I would love to have Toni Morrison on my nails all the time. Yes.
That would be totally badass.
Yes.
Oh my God,
that would be
yes.
badass.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
It
trying to
needs
figure out
happen.
which picture.
Do a different one
good.
on each one. Like, or
Yeah.
maybe
different-
at least every
yes.
other.
That'll be,
Yep.
yes. Noted, period.
We'll be waiting. We'll be waiting. and this is also from a friend. Mm.
So every month, the Always Black Bookstagram account posts a pictorial tribute to the ruling zodiac sign for the authors in those photos. And so you are a part of the infamous always imitated but never duplicated Libra gang. This is the trifecta right here. What do you love most
Yes.
about being in this chosen constellation?
September 24.
October 5th.
What's good?
I mean, books are in our name. We give everyone art, the culture.
Yes.
So what is it for you to be a part of,
elevate it,
to be Libra?
I am so, listen, this is taking this conversation to a whole nother level, because y'all gonna get all of it. First off, let me start by saying the Libra commitment to the aesthetic, like you
Yes.
work real hard to bring it. And then like now people are DMing me, asking me where my phone case is from. And I tell them, but there's like different colors. So don't get a yellow one, but they do. And then they post it and they're like, oh, I would have never found this without Cree. And I'm like, you're welcome. Like, I worked really hard to find that, but it's fine. And I mean, we have Bell Hooks, we have Ann Petrie, Ta-Nehisi's a Libra, Roxane Gay's a Libra.
Yes.
Ooh,
yes. Yeah, I guess it's just like that whole like rumor that we avoid conflict. I just don't. Where? Like, even the people that I just listed, I'm like, all they do is start shit. All they do.
Yes, they do.
That's what I like, that people still like us. I remember this girl in high school, she was like storming out of my car, and she was like, you know what your problem is? I was like, what? She was like, you say anything to people and they still like you. And I was like, is that a problem? Like, I don't, like, that is just our truth as Libras. I don't know. We are the messengers. I don't know who gave us that task, but we can literally say damn near anything. Between the World and Me got all them telling all those white people and they're like, yes, thank you. And he's like, I'm dragging y'all to hell, but no problem.
Yeah.
I
it's
love
that
it.
charm. It's that charm. It's the superpower.
Oh my God, that is so funny.
It is a blessing. It is definitely a blessing. Never
It's
a
so
curse.
fun.
People will never know.
Never.
They will never know. But you know, at least we know.
Yes.
Right. A Libra knows when a Libra is acting shady.
Yes.
But everybody else will be like, we weren't. But it's fine.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Next time.
Try again.
So clearly we can tell from your zest for reading that books have been a major part of your life for a long time. How did you realize that Instagram could be taken from a place of just putting your favorite selfies to a platform that pushes the importance of reading books written by Black writers?
again, connected to the fact, like, I really, because I ran and like sprinted, I I'm really good at occasionally seeing things as just cut and dry. Cause like in track, there's just like you won or you didn't. This was the time, and these were the times. And so when I started taking social media really seriously, it was really easy to just approach it as a numbers game. Like, oh, all I have to do is track this. Let me try this and see if this gains traction. And then like the book influencing landscape was just so vanilla. I was like, this is too easy. I don't even have to, I just have to be myself, which I mean, I went back and forth on a little bit because I mean, it's not politically correct, but then like that was coming to terms with the fact that like blackness is never viewed as politically correct when it's like living authentically. So I'm just going to have to show up and whoever comes. And I just I just got really methodical about it. And it was easy because it was like I had just read The Bluest Eye. So it wasn't even like I'm trying to push stuff that isn't even important to me. It's like I'm still dying on the hill that everybody and their mama needs to read The Bluest Eye.
How long have you been doing what you're doing on Instagram?
I started, I think my first review was like in 2016. And it was like my original goal back then was to like condense like because my first review was The Bluest Eye, and I was trying to keep it to like 60 seconds. So I was like, if I can hold people's attention for 60 seconds, then they will catch on. But then eventually people were saying like, you can slow down. We really want to understand like what you're getting at and the nuance of everything. So then I mixed that up a little. And then I had the idea of word of the week in like 2019 because I shot that word of the week. My first word of the week I shot at like 12:30 at night because Nat had just went to sleep and I was like just committed to getting it out. And I think that was it. And it wasn't even like intentionally Black literature. It was just the stuff that like got me going. And it was Black literature. So that's just how it started.
The firepower of it all. So, you know, like this Bookstagram community thing is amazing to me. And so when one looks at your record as a promoter of not just literature, but one who advocates for Black voices to be heard, we automatically see this, and all that you do goes beyond surface level. You aren't just doing this for show, and you aren't just doing this alone. You've created bonds with the likes of Bookstagrammers such as Crystal from Melanated Reader and Akili and Reggie of Books Are Pop Culture, and Tracy from the Stack podcast. All of these people you have and continue to collaborate with in this space feels like you all are collectively buying the block on Instagram and beyond. What does all of that mean for you?
Sometimes I think about how cool, like you all are talking about, like in 50 years, if a white person looks me up, I think it would be just so dope that if in 100 years, if like my great grandchild looked me up and was like, and she was pushing these books. And because, you know, the people that I'm pushing, Alice and Tony and Audrey and Zora are immortal already. And so for me to be connected to that legacy is I literally could not ask for anything else. I like to create all types of things. But the sincere liberation that I have gotten from reading the goats it's not a performance. It was really like I was in a really shitty job. I was the only Black person, and everyone was like telling me I should be grateful because I had a 3-year-old, so I was able to secure this salaried job with like benefits and stuff. So why are you complaining? And it was literally like reading Their Eyes Are Watching God, where it was like you get to pick what, just like Jenny got to pick, you get to pick. Right. And it was just liberating. Like it was and to know like under the circumstances also that these Black women were doing this under, like Tony was a single mom writing Beloved. That's crazy that she was right like under those, and that Zora was by herself and like died penniless, and Audrey like was married to some fuckboy and then she left him and found a woman that she fell in love with and still raised her kids. It was like they didn't even just write about it. They lived this life.
Mhm.
And look at all the beautiful things that they were able to create just because they stood in their truth. So I was just like, I got to do that. Me too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was so empowering to hear, because like, you think it's the end all of be all of stuff, because then you get that paycheck and you think, yeah, why are we complaining? Especially when women become mothers, we think it's the end of the line. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
can't, like, I'm like, it becomes self-limiting. You want to live in that box because then you're so
Mm-hmm.
afraid of making a mistake and then the
Yes.
world judging you, because like, there's this, you should be concentrating in this child and not yourself anymore.
Right.
And
You don't even exist anymore.
Right.
It's just like you're just a mother.
yeah,
And yeah, that doesn't have to be true.
yeah, especially
right.
for women of color, it's the judgment is real and it's harsh and it's very
Mm-hmm.
painful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing back to a little lighter note, for those who don't know, and for those that are living under a rock, or just the people that are curious to know, can you please talk about Always Black and how this creation supported, to me, what is your like life mission, right? To
Yeah.
amplify Black voices, maybe even going above and beyond the literary scene.
Yeah. So I it was before the pandemic. I wanted to do a virtual readathon to honor Toni Morrison.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached out to Bellatrix. Kara Price is the one who does that with Emma Roberts. So I reached out to Kara because we were already in community. Because that's where I just take my big ideas because she can like clear paths. And so
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hey, I'm thinking about this thing. How do you feel? And she was like, oh, no, cool. And then we like never talked about it again, really. And then 2020 happened and the summer 2020 happened, the uprising, and Kara texted me and she was like, literally, the world is yours. So do you want to do this? Like, this would, like, let's do it. And so we're talking through ideas. And then she was like, we should talk to Penguin because they own Tony's like collection. So, I mean, we should get them involved if they're interested. And I pitched it to them and it was so wild. It was just like, hashtag publishing so white. So it's like 8
Mm-hmm.
people. I'm like telling them this idea and they're like, and I was like, so cool. Yeah, and then we'll do this, and there will be songs, and there'll be giveaways, and they're like, okay. And so they said yes, and it was cool. We were working towards it. We were trying to do it on the 1 year anniversary of Toni Morrison's death. But then her son caught wind of it, Ford, and because it was originally called Tonython, and he was like, what the hell are y'all doing? Like, I guess I don't think he messes with the publishing house, which duh, like, why would you know? So they were like, well, it's really not us, it's this girl who just loves your mom's work and and he was like, I hate it, like, no, don't do it. I was like, okay, cool. So then we like reworked it, we renamed it to Black Like We Never Left, and we pushed it to January, like right before, because I didn't want it to like be during Black History Month. I just wanted it to be like, you can start off your year reading Toni, you can read Toni year round. And I guess the numbers were just off the charts for that week. It was just the perfect storm because people were still at home. I had time because like my job, I was at home working and I was like only working half days. And when Ta-Nehisi agreed to go live with me, we all were like, what? How? Like, it was just like, so all that happened. And then like just a few months later, they were like, yeah, we've been really thinking about this initiative. And just shout out to whenever you put Black or brown women in the room, because honestly, the reason Always Black exists is because of Penguin's CMO, who is a Black woman, Sanyu. And so they had a briefing, I guess, after the readathon, and she was like, why did it go so well? And they were like, Cree. And they were like, well, pay her and bring her here. And so so that's how it happened. And it's like been a true adventure because like Penguin is super committed to like clearing paths for me and like making everything as uncomplicated as possible, but they're a corporation, so it still just be complicated sometimes. So I just been like, dog, what? But I think we've gotten into a really good groove, and um I just I tell creatives all the time now that I have worked with a 1 billion-dollar corporation that nothing on this planet Earth will ever replace a team. Like,
Mhm.
there is a design team. I don't ever design anything. I just like spout off ideas, and then they're like, "Okay, got it," and come back. And we all know, as like influencers and Instagrammers and TikTokers, what it is to like have to do it all from the ground up.
Yeah.
And so it's invaluable. And I'm really grateful, and also like recognize that, like as you mentioned, Keely and Reggie and Crystal and Tracy, like this could have been anyone. So like it's
Mhm.
also just like I don't I don't feel special. I just am like the one who got to do this, but anybody could have done this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's such a cool thing all together.
Yes, it was
You
so
know,
dope.
yeah, because I have been trying for the longest, especially since we booked this interview, of trying to figure out exactly at what point that we started to follow you. And I honestly, I
Mhm.
just feel like you have always been
Yes.
there. And I just can't, I know it was like a little bit right before the pandemic started, but to be able
Mhm.
to see what has happened over these last few years is just amazing for every, just to watch everybody and what it is that you all are bringing to the table, and it really truly means a lot. And so, within doing our research, it took me back. I was able to find some articles, some write-ups, some things about you.
Yes.
And one that really I really truly enjoyed listening and reading was your profile of This Is Milwaukee, which they covered more
Oh
than
yeah.
100 Milwaukeeans between 2019 and 2020. And you spoke about how reading is a practice in empathy. Will you
Mm.
expound more upon this thought and talk about what one gains when reading books that do not center around the white gaze?
Oh yeah. And I can say since that interview was taken, I have, because I think I used to have pie in the sky dreams. Like if everyone read Audre Lorde, the transformation of silence into language and power, you would just be liberated.
Mm.
But people still need therapy, so you
Mhm.
start there, because I have dealt with some really prolific readers who are still assholes. So that matters. But if you do have the wherewithal and like the
Mhm.
clear brain to enter into somebody else's world, um it just makes dealing with people day to day so different. Like it just like I don't even know. It was like, okay, so I read Undocumented Americans,
Mhm.
and Carla's talking about the undocumented Americans who died helping during 9/11, who literally will never, whose names will never see the light of day
Mm.
because they were undocumented. I had never fucking considered that. Like I had, because and so now when I think about the different obstacles that oppressed people have to go through, because just like being poor and black or brown is just so fucking complicated for no reason. It just makes me, I'm just gentler with people all the time, like no matter what. And um I just wish that people could get unprogrammed, because there are people around me who like, or I'm like in this Black Girls in Luxury group on Facebook, and they're like, people are poor because, no, I don't even know
Mhm.
how you're going to finish that sentence, but it's
Mhm.
wrong. People are poor because of systematic oppression placed upon them.
Right, right.
That's literally it. So it it's really, it's just like I know that like my light source are the authors and writers that I mentioned before. Like that's where I get a lot of my energy from, etc. But Kathy Carcone changed my life. Like Minor Feelings changed my life. Um and so it's I don't know why, if you have access to all of these different writers who are so brilliant, brilliant why you would like even limit yourself to I respect and understand that like people read to escape, but especially when I'm thinking about white people, like what are you escaping from? Can you please just pick up like the other shit that people who don't look like you write, to just try a little harder to not be insufferable when we're around you, please? So I don't know, but I love it. I don't know. It's the only medium where you get like an intimate access inside of people's brains. Even if I watch a movie by a Korean director, I don't know what the people are thinking while they're like acting out the scenes. But when you're in the book, you know exactly what people are thinking, and you know exactly why they're thinking it. And you don't get it in any other medium.
Yeah. I totally agree with you wholeheartedly.
All the points.
Oh yeah, because like with us, you know, we decided that we were going to expand our breadth of reading to reading all BIPOC people, right? And so I think for me, I know for me is that I gained the same sentiment that you were saying of like getting more of an insight outside of my world, because I know my world like
back and forth, up and down. I know about this.
But that exchange of the knowledge of like, look, this is how we all out here being oppressed and depressed, and it's and ways of finding liberation in all of those avenues in which we can find out everybody's story from different, you know, worlds, and how it relates to us, and how we, and it always boggles my mind when I see people saying the most asinine shit. You're just like, how do you wake up and come out of the house talking like you do? It knowing, and maybe you don't because you choose not to. And I don't know how people can continue to live in that ignorance of not knowing. But if they just pick up a book.
Listen, I worked at, like, I was in a community, like a nonprofit I worked at in Milwaukee, and it was for Black and brown people. Everybody on the staff was Black or brown, except for there was one white girl, Kendall. And
shout out to Kendall.
Shout out to Kendall, held it down. Kendall was a real one. Like, I'm not, Kendall was a real one. But like the obsession around not only identity politics, but like the race to the bottom as far as like who was the most oppressed, that happened so often, where the organization was just dysfunctional because of that, was literally because people just didn't read. Like you would be able to hold more space for all of the experiences that people are talking about if you took the time to learn where they were coming from. Include like it, because you know there's an undocumented person in our team, and they might feel slighted because we're centering the Black experience too much. You don't read nothing about the Black experience, so now you feel some type of way because etc. And so it was a slippery slope. So glad I'm out of that mess. But yeah, it's dog. Identity has us in a chokehold, and it's super important. Like, I think about all the nuances that I know because I'm Black that you just would not know if you were not Black. And even just like my grandma's from Mississippi Black. Like I'm that type of Black. And so me knowing all the nuances of this culture, how dare I not assume that every other culture would have that same amount of nuance?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I don't know.
And I think it's more painful when we go against each other. It's because like if we only would look at each other in the face and like hold space and accept each other, white people would have been gone for so long. So long.
There are so many of us.
So
many.
So many.
We just need to have a group to come together. I don't know what we need to do. I don't know
either.
You know, but if you read though, you would realize that. And I think that's the most frustrating thing to me.
Yeah.
And you know, going back to what you said earlier, you know, like white people that don't read, I think that is willful ignorance, because they'd be like, I can't relate to this character, blah blah blah. That's always their first line. And I think that is willful ignorance. You choose not to. And how like sometimes even people of color choose not to, you know, cross that line and be like, oh yeah, let me sit here and actually be with you, instead of like, yeah, let's race down to the, who got hurt the
Yes.
most.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody got hurt.
Everybody.
So when you first starting this initiative of having people read and raise awareness about authors of color, but specifically with Black authors, was ever there a moment of like self-doubt and you're like, oh my goodness, like, did you ever felt hopeless, or you're like, fuck, I don't know if this is gonna click?
I knew that I was coming into the space with a mission. I knew that I wanted to do it full time. And I knew that sounded absolutely insane to people like my mother, because I had no previous examples of anyone who had done that. So it was I was, oh my God, I sound like Drake, literally living in my parents' basement. And like I would go substitute teach. Like substitute teach during the day. Like that's how I made money. And then I would put Ethan was little, I would put him to sleep, and then I would just like stay on the schedule of like I would read either all that night, or I would record that night and then edit and then upload. And yeah, like I was terrified a bunch of times because the path is dark as fuck. I don't know where I'm going. Also, I'm reading Black shit. I don't see nothing Black on the internet. So I'm like, I don't know who's gonna like this. But then I was like, just like, but this feels so right. Like what else? I don't know what else I would do. And I just like see the opening. So if I just like spend time, I know something will happen. And that's just how it went. I don't know. I was just hopeful, and I worked really hard and was also lucky.
Right. So how do you balance it all? Like your work-life balance? Because we see your life in there. Her face. I'm like, how do you ask a mom a work-life balance? My answer to you, if you ask me, I'm like, what work-life balance? You crazy?
What work-life balance? Well, I mean, I'm married to a Cancer. So he's just a very nurturing human being. I'm still like raised under the cis het tradition. So like that is not absent, but just a very present dad. And I don't know how I would get things done if he wasn't here. And daycare, the fuck, like I don't know how I kept Nat home as long as I could. He went to daycare in January and he turned 3 in April. So like that's how long I kept him home. But it was just treacherous trying to get anything done, and I was like losing hair because of how anxious I was, because it was absolutely impossible to do anything. And I homeschooled my oldest, and that was a journey because originally we joined a collective, but it was entirely too demanding for what I needed to accomplish, and actually like the homeschool philosophy that I was trying to instill on my child, which was really like, I'm going to take all the distracting shit, fall in love with something healthy. So that was, and so this year was like the year, this year was the year that I feel like we really got our feet under us. It's been a year because Nat's been in daycare since last January. So like it's been a year of our feet under us in like a healthy, sustainable way. Honestly, my advice right now is people just keep popping up at my door because everybody knows where I live, and then will like come in and like try and talk or like have lunch and talk to me. And I think because I'm sitting here that I'm not doing anything, but like I'm either reading or like, the creative process involves so much just quiet. You just need to sit and like just let stuff just float around you. And so I've been trying. If y'all also as Libras have any tips on how to not offend people, but be like, please stop showing the fuck up at my door. I need help. I can't.
I have no tips. for that. All I can tell you is I just stopped answering. I don't have a door for anybody to show up on. I just have a phone that I just don't answer.
Let me tell you a little secret. Hopefully they're not listening to this. When Veronica
I don't care.
No, it's not it's Veronica's tea. When she is talking to people on the phone, she'd be like, Denny, can you like yell and be like, act like you need something so I can get off of this phone and read. So I'll be like making a fuss, be like, Veronica, I need help. And she's like, ooh, I gotta go. Denny needs my help.
I swear one day they're gonna catch on.
Whole production.
They probably like, you always need help every time I call. But I will literally, I'm not the talker. Like, they're the talker. So I don't know what to tell you about how to get the people away, but to avoid. And I think maybe that's where the Libra, like, non-confrontational thing happens.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't want to hurt your feelings and say, like, I don't want to talk to you right now. Like, I want to talk to you, but not right now. Because I need to read 5 books before tomorrow. So
right. And then it's like, I can't ever actually talk to you. Like, I need, like, I am rooting for you. I want everything for you that you want for you. I can't hold space for it though.
Right.
I don't even until fall. I gotta give birth, like, respectfully. But I love you so much. Sending vibes.
Yes.
I'll drop a card in the mail. I don't know. I think I need another curtain. I think I need some blackout curtains. I was literally gonna price those out because then they just come to the door. It'll just disappear.
Like
yeah.
Jehovah's Witness at the door.
Yes.
Do you want to know Christ?
Did you watch that new season of Real Housewives? Like, no, I don't have time.
That's how it feels.
No,
I'm reading. No. Oh, I know.
So let's talk about the children of Morrison and Baldwin for a second. Robert Jones Jr., Kiese Layman, Disha Filial are just a few and 3 of our favorite writers that we've had the pleasure to share an hour with in conversation. For someone like you who is and always will be ride or die for the Toni Morrison, what is it to be friends of writers that we all know have brought our generation into this new wave of writing and an understanding that gatekeeping will not be tolerated in literature?
Oh, it's just the highest honor. I don't even like, I feel cool as fuck. Yes. And I really, one of my favorite things about Toni Morrison is, like, I'd be trying to explain that, like, my grandma lives in Mississippi. She lives she's 82. Everybody she lives around is family, because it's like the brothers, her dad, and everybody's dad just left acres to people. So it's like cousin Benny and blah blah blah, and she'd be like, "Creepy reading Toni Morrison," and then they all know who that is. That's their peer, so they get excited, and it adds value to what I do. A lot of times I'm not sure people understand how radical Toni was. They just like know that she was a genius and like etc. But it's that universal, like the across generation moment of Toni, and then the writers that she like christened underneath her, and even the ones that she didn't really have a chance to christen, but like we know what's up. They're the greatest writers on the planet, right? Like Robert Jones Jr. is one of the greatest writers on the planet, and he talks to us. What? Yes. That's great. Like, that's
what is life?
What is life? That's literally the equivalent of like Jasmine Sullivan talking to me, like as like the greatest vocalist on the planet. It's amazing, and it's wild how universal Blackness is, and that even if I'm talking to like a MacArthur Genius winner, he's just still like Black. Like it's just like with the same. And I it's just an honor. I really do like the lack. I don't know. I always wonder how white book influencing, like how that community operates, because we really do be holding each other down over here so hard. Like, and it's like, it just, even within like the petty little drama, it's like, oh, Dante's book came out, say less. boop, like this is what we, and even in the books that I've read that I haven't been crazy about, it's just like the fact that this thing exists is a miracle. So I'm not about to like offer criticism right now, even though like Wesley Morris' argument is always like Black art, a part of like accepting it is like also criticizing it. But I guess as a Libra, that's not my truth. I'm just gonna like, I'm pushing it out. I'm happy that it's here. And maybe once we get to a 50-50 mark in publishing, then maybe I'll start criticizing some stuff. But for now, just like publish it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we feel too, because sometimes when we be reading stuff, so, we read a lot, we talk to people a lot. We still like, but we gotta give everybody a chance, because our chance is like this little, and their chance is like half of the entire world. And the white bookstagram book talk, we don't know her, so
never seen her, never met her,
never met her.
Sorry to that woman.
Yes. So, like this is all we know, and we love it here.
Yeah.
So we gotta keep pushing for us.
Yeah.
Because who else would do it?
It reminds me of, we spoke to the authors of Rise, and Jeff Yang, who he wrote a critical article in regards to Margaret Cho when she had her first television show and on TV, and he talked about how bad it was, and then her show got canceled, and they had a conversation about it of like, you were in a place of being able to uplift a show, and you did it, and I lost my show. And even then, even after that conversation that they had together, she goes on to say, she's like, yeah, I understand where he was coming from with the criticism, and it made sense, but at the time it was just so upsetting to have lost my show. And he even like takes it to heart of saying like, I shouldn't have written it, or at least not in that way. And so it's one of those things when we're talking about these works that, that book might not have been that best. We've read better.
It's not Toni Morrison.
It's not Toni Morrison.
Not Toni.
It ain't even Toni Jenkins. It's like, but we want it to be there. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it feels some kind of way when I go in the Dollar Tree and I see the book section, and I'm like, what does that feel like if you took so much time to write a book to find your book in Dollar Tree? Like, So, I want everybody to succeed, and I know everybody can't go to the highest heights and get all the accolades, but if they can just find a place and it not be, where people are like, well, I don't know if we can really fit that into what it is.
Right. I don't know if there's a readership. Exactly. Yeah. We'll always read it. Don't worry.
Right.
No matter what. So we went back. I went back to your first Instagram post. You were right. It was 2016. You were wearing this pink shirt that said, "Average Black girl." Your caption was, "I rehearsed for 2 hours to go sing jazz standards to little first graders. I'm the room parent for Ethan's class. I draw pics of dicks in my journal. There are no rules."
I do.
Yeah. There are no rules. First of all, the vulgar geniuses don't think that you are average. Second of all, we firmly believe that you do create your own rules. So when talking about your work and when you're creating your work, is there something that you wouldn't compromise on?
Oh, yeah. I can't water down the Black. Like that. I will water down a review, just like we said, because I don't know what it's like to write a book. So I'm not about to hurt your feelings. But I'm not about to not show up as like my full, like, irreverent Black self, which is also like, that's not every day. I think about like that quote in Tar Baby when it was like Janine was like, I mean, sometimes I want to be a Black girl and sometimes I just want to be Janine. And and I'm like, same. So like, yeah, sometimes I'm showing up and I just listened to paper trail. And so now I'm on 10 and I'm going to be like extra loud and ridiculous. But sometimes I show up and I'm like, act like watched the, just was like watching this stupid Netflix show and I'm just going to show up like in that space. And so just kind of always giving myself permission to be a full human and not like a caricature, because I'm not like, I wasn't born last night, so I know a part of the reason that Penguin put me in front is so that they can say like, look who is making this. This is not us doing this. So I get that. But if you are going to put my face on it, then I have to be the one who made it. So even like last year in the cipher, when they were like, try and keep it clean, and I was like, a rap cipher? Am I Will Smith? No. So the other rappers like followed directions, but I was like, no, I need one good clean moment where they're going to have to come to terms with whether or not they're going to push this out. So I really do try to hold their feet to the fire as much as I can and recognize like the Venn diagram of like, I'm comfortable doing that. I mean, because I grew up middle class and like I'm never worried about money for real. So I recognize that, because my husband and I have had a conversation like that. He's like, "You gonna lose the contract?" And I was like, "Fuck them in this like I don't like And he's like,
yes.
exactly. And so I recognize that like I try to hold space for the fact that I move like that because I've had the net of my parents my whole life. But I count it as like a resource. Like it's a privilege. I see it as a privilege, and I'm also going to see it as a resource. This is another reason why I don't have to compromise, and so I'm not going to. And so that's what I try. That's what I try hard to do. It's not always perfect because sometimes I'm scared, but mostly I'm not.
Thank you for not compromising. That was really nice to hear, because I'm like, when I would see your content, I'm like, she's doing it. And when you talked about that cipher, because I listened to it over and over again, I'm like, she did this because like this is the content before Penguin. Like this is her.
Yeah.
So that's
exactly.
just like, at least there's one real out there, and that is you. So thank you.
And she got receipts, y'all.
Yeah. Don't challenge a Libra, because we would show you everything.
So many receipts all the time. It's problematic.
Yes.
Always receipts.
We live by
you can be like, come do these taxes.
I got receipts. Yes. Oh my God, yes.
So if Veronica has a favorite interview, I think this is my favorite thing that about you. 7 years ago, May of 2016, Baby Cree was talking to Milwaukee Independent. And you are so cute. Let me tell you why. You were talking about transcending an identity, your personal relationship with your ancestors, you love for music. To me, I was like, that's what I asked Veronica, what age is she here? Like, what is happening? Because like you have projected this embodiment of like, I'm a Black woman and I know what I want. And this is,
I was in the middle. I was up to my ears in the canon. I I hated my job. And I had been just like reminded, because my grandma used to watch me when I was little, and she always used to tell me stories about growing up in Mississippi in the 1940s. So she always told me these stories, and then she told me about her mom, and then her grandmother, who would always come, because my great grandma had 16 children, so her grandma would be there a lot to help. And then just go back and back. And there's the only ancestor that I know by name who was enslaved their whole life was Fanny. And so whenever, like at that moment when I feel like I have to make a crossroads, like, am I about to just go work these jobs that suck because that's the only option in order to raise a stable child? Or is there something else I can do? And I was like, Fanny did not live her whole life not being able to make any decisions just for me to not also make the decision. Like, that's literally disrespectful to her. I would hate 3 generations from now if my predecessor had like 8 times as much money as I did, and etc. Whatever games that we're able to give them, was like, well, I'm afraid to do this thing, so I shouldn't. No, do it for me. Whatever you feel like you're supposed to be doing, just like do that for me because I couldn't. And so it really was like, it became a really personal, been like a personal relationship between me and Fanny. Like, because when I die, in the event that I meet her, I need her to be able to be like, you did that. And I'm like, thank you, you know?
Yeah, because that was very powerful. I was like, I wish, I can show this interview to like little Black girls and be like, you need to follow this lady, because this is where she is at now. And who knows what's going on. Like, like right there, it was an interview. Like, you were talking about your music and then, yes, your ancestors. And I'm just like, how did we get here? And then faster, how can we get here faster so we can empower more children? And that's the only thing that I was thinking about. I'm like, Cree did this, people need to follow Cree, please. So that was my favorite. You are so cute in that little interview, and I'm glad I found it.
So wild. Was my hair like purple?
No, it was
or
short.
no, it was just cut. Okay, yeah, because Prince died, and I did that, and then Prince died later that year, and I dyed purple. But it was like soon. I remember I dyed it.
So we only have a couple of questions left. And so one of the things that stands out the most outside of your love for reading is your love for education and spending time in the great outdoors. Your parents made history as being the first in their field, and your mother was the first Black female principal in Wisconsin.
Menominee Falls, yeah, the Menominee Falls School District.
And your father was the first Black game warden in the state of Wisconsin. What were those conversations like in your home about those two things, about education and nature, that Black folk have, those spaces have been constantly denied us, from experiencing the richness in them? And so what was it like growing up in the house and having those conversations about like these things that white folks say it ain't for us?
Yeah. I have been having like deep meditations about my father lately. He turned 60 in 2 weeks, and he grew up in like the middle of Milwaukee and had a traumatic ass childhood, like just off bat. And I think about like seeing him on social media is like seeing his interior. So they cut down a forest close to my parents' house, and he just like took a picture sitting by the tree and wrote this like beautiful thing about how unnecessary it was. The great state of Wisconsin has Senator Ron fucking Johnson as one of our representatives, and my father like calls him weekly to cuss him out. Like, it's just and this is like him in retirement. And I just think about like he's also like just kind of a shitty communicator and super loyal, but like I just think about how much softer he would be if he got to lean into how much he loves outside. Like he loves animals so hard, and he loves being outside so hard. And I just think about what was that like growing up in the middle of a city in the 70s as a Black boy, when like you're watching people do God knows what to various dogs and cats, and you like instinctively knew that was wrong. So it was just something. And my grandmother too, my paternal grandmother, was also just kind of eccentric, like in that she like also hated visitors like a lot. And she would just sew dolls for fun, and she read everything under the sun. So that's like the person that I'm sure like held him close, like, and kept him like emotionally safe as she could. So it was just like from jump, it was just how he kind of raised us. Like, I started going camping when I was like 5. My mom didn't go with us, but it was important to my dad, and he loved it. And it was like genuinely like the corny special times that they like put on TV of like me and my dad fishing and like walking through nature. And again, he's not a great communicator, so it would be quiet so much of the time, but I was just like happy to be with my dad, just like bopping around. And the other part of it is too is like I grew up under boomers, right? So like respectability politics had them in a chokehold. And they're like my brother is a bassist, and all of us knew that from jump, like from 11 years old. Like when he got his hands on a bass, he would like spend his evenings like learning Jackson 5 lines because those were like the hard ones. And my parents were still like, what are you gonna go to school for? And we're all like, music. Like what do you mean? And so they just um they've come a long way though. I'm really I appreciate that they valued education. I think we've all learned lessons about what that means because they connected education to like safety instead
Yes.
of like a genuine like interest and passion in a field. And I think they've relinquished that since my brother and I have grown up. My brother just toured with a Broadway show. Like he's an excellent bassist and I'm fine. And so I think and it's, I mean, you know, this is a big deal for some Black 60-year-olds to be like, y'all were right. Like it wasn't so, like, for them to be able to do that has been wonderful. But it, it was a journey. Like high school was hard. Me and my mom were at it all the time. And I held her feet to the fire, and just when they thought I was done, here came my brother who just was continued. So I commend them a lot for bending with us and for everything that they instilled around like you can. I think my eccentric creativity definitely comes from my father, and then my pragmatic this is how we're going to get it done comes from my mom. And I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't have both of those things in me at one time.
Yeah, because it has, watching you post these videos of your family going on these camping trips and you talking about homeschooling your children, and it really makes you pause when that was not ever seen as a norm in your home, and you're like, oh, we can go camping, like we can actually go out in the middle of the woods and be okay, and just, like do all of these things, and this is an option. Like people actually grow up and do this stuff, and it is just one of those like reinforcements of yes, these spaces are for us too. It might be a little bit more difficult to get to them, depending upon where you are, but if you can, even if it's just your park, like just go sit under that tree. Yeah, but it's been an inspiration because Denny and her family, they go camping all of the time.
Please hold. We need to correct that fact.
I should say her husband,
because it was my husband that exposed me to all of that. He loves the outdoors, and he was born and raised he was raised in Florida, but Asian parents too. So they're like, what are you doing? What is that? Why are you outside? It's too hot. It's too cold. Like, what are you like? What the fuck? And he's just like, but it's nice. And it's like windy. And like, it's 85 degrees and I'm camping, and it's kind of like, it's also eye-opening. So when I told my parents, I'm like, hey, I'm going camping. They're like, what is that? What is outside?
Why?
Yes, why is the biggest question. Like, you guys can't find a hotel, like what is going on? Yes, there's no other beds, something like that. But also your father's birthday is in 2 weeks. He's an Aquarian, so is my dad.
I love Aquarius. I love them. I don't
So
know
is
if you
my
saw
dad.
And my mom.
Love them.
Look at us.
Yes,
So
2 days. My dad's birthday is in 2
this.
days.
Yes.
He's an Aquarian. He's also the worst communicator in the planets.
It's a trait of theirs. They can't help it. Both of my parents Aquarians.
Oh my God, both?
Hard life. Hugs. I don't know how to give them. I don't know how to take them because that didn't happen in our home. Like
she doesn't like to be touched.
Yeah, because
Like,
that's just not. My mom hugs like this. Yeah, it's hard.
My mom's a Virgo.
Hard.
You pick. My mom's a Virgo. Yes, that's why when you said like this, I'm like, oh, yes.
Oh man, this feels like a therapy session right now.
But... Are we cleaning after this? Because that's what you like to do.
No. Wait, the other thing that you all just made me think of is when I was reading the prophets and Maggie had to sleep outside with the dogs. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is why Black people don't mess with nature. Like, it's literally like, because it was supposed to dehumanize you. Mm-hmm. And when we like get back to the bottom of it, because you know it was all Black and brown before, this isn't even their shit. This is indigenous land. Like, this is brown people's land who are outside. So I definitely deserve to be out here. Like, I should be out here even before y'all, low key.
Right.
So that's been a sincere relearning of mine, and me just wanting to like spread the word.
What was it like to take your children out for the very first time camping?
So the first time I took it's become a tradition. Like at the end of the school year, we go camping, and the first time we did it was Ethan was in kindergarten, and it was he loved it because he was in like his like entomology era, so it was just like all little creepy crawly things all the time. So he like had this little notebook, couldn't write nothing, but like had a notebook and would be like taking field notes like as he's whatever
scribble.
Right. And I'm like, from a parental standpoint, it was stressful, but also like Ethan has ADHD and he would be like the only Black boy in the class and etc. So, you know, doom and gloom every time I talk to a fucking teacher. And so when I could get him outside, I could see him. And I was like, you just need more space. Classrooms just can't contain you. Like, that's literally it. Like, there's literally nothing wrong with the way that you process information. It's that Amy Williams does not know how to meet you where you are at.
Right.
So it was really like, it was also just like it liberated me when the first time that me and him went and we hung out. I was like, yeah, this kid's great. 10 out of 10.
And they love nature. They see things that we don't see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we talked to a teacher.
Yeah, Ron Grady. I don't know if you heard of him, but he just released a children's book.
Yes, what does brown mean to you?
And he is a nature preschool educator.
Yes.
Their whole school is based in Louisiana.
Yes.
And it's all based on nature, being outside with chickens and ducks and all of the things.
Making forts, picking up stuff, observing things.
Yeah. And I think this book was under Penguin. I think it was released under Penguin. You check him out. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's wonderful. He's young, vibrant, energy. And
very young, getting his PhD now.
Smart cookie.
Yeah.
But also has the passion for children and like outside. It's like, this is where we belong. This is where we need to teach the young people. Because this is the classroom right here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. I love you. When people got the child passion, you can feel it all. You just feel it. The Mr. Rogers syndrome, I call it. You got that. You feel it. Yes. It's great.
All right. So our last infamous question that we like to ask everybody that comes on the show, and that means from musicians to writers, we want to know either your top 5 favorite books of all time or your top 5 books that you are very excited about that you want people to know,
or a combination of both.
Okay.
We apologize in advance.
Okay, 5. Okay, I got it. Okay, no particular order.
Okay.
Definitely Bluest Eye. Changed my life. Also, Ursula K. Le Guin is the only white author that I ever invite to the cookout. The word for world is forest. Also had me in a chokehold. Brilliant. Everybody swears it's Kindred, right? But it's Wild Seed. That's Octavia's crown jewel. So that one, I hate, because I guess I'm a contrarian about this, but Beloved, like, it does go crazy, and I just, it's because it's the most famous one and it won the Nobel that I like have an attitude that I haven't put that with it. So Beloved, and oh Jesus, I mean, any collection that includes Audre Lorde's The Transformation of Science as a Language of Action, that had me circling back, revisiting conversations that I had with people 3 years ago. Like, do you remember that time when you don't do it again? It changed me.
Well, there you go. That went hard. I really feel like she already knew her 5.
She knows.
I know.
She knows.
I don't know about that Beloved moment. It's so good. She went crazy. Like, she really went crazy. I just wish it was like a secret.
But it's not.
I don't know why I want it to be a secret. That's weird. I need to unpack that. I don't know. But yeah, those are the 5.
Well, Cree, this has been such a delight to talk to you. You have no idea what this interview means to us today. You just like re-energized us. You have no idea. You have no clue. Maybe one day we'll tell you, but
yes,
we just want to just say thank you so much for coming on and talking with us about what it is that you do and what you love to do, which is read and tell people, you know, you can join us, you can do it too. And it really means the world. Thank you so much for coming on. Happy Black History Month. Happy Black History Year.
Yes.
We doing it for the culture. We're doing it for everybody. So just thank you so much for all that you do.
Best of luck with the baby. Please take care of yourself.
Okay.
Because it's a lot to give out, you know, just carrying the child and birthing the child. So please take care of yourself. You have, you know, when I watch you, I feel a certain way about like how basically literature would be available for people that look like us. Because you would continue, and I know that you won't stop paving the way for us to be seen. And it's really nice because it's kind of like, you know, I'm older than you, so I'm like, you restore like hope that young people would be able to continue to fight.
Yeah, young people like me. Yeah.
So
you're an inspiration.
See, she could claim it. But yes, thank you so much.
Thank y'all. This was also energized me so much because I just be doing it every day and forget, you know, the day-to-day can be treacherous. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Thank you for these thoughtful asked questions. I just happy to be here.
And we are too.
We promise we're not going to be knocking on your door, but if you come back to Florida, you're welcome to
just
see
call
us.
First.
Yes.
Just call. That's it. Just call first. Oh man.
I promise I'll pick up on the first ring. I will.
Perfect. They can just send a text too. We can just text.
See,
right.
That works. All right, until we meet again, you take care. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
You too.
Rest well.
We hope you enjoyed our show.
Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Vulgar Geniuses.
Our theme song that you're nodding your head along to was produced by Sean Kantrowitz. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Sean Dammit. That's SeanDammit.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our podcast. See you soon.
Deuces.